Okay guys, I apologise that the machine is already stripped down. I wasn't really planning to make this video, but let's get started. First of all, you'll find a lot of grease on the cogs, most of which I've wiped off already. So just wipe off the external grease, and we're going to need a set of needle nose pliers to take off the circlips that hold the cogs on. Here we go. Needle nose pliers, take off the first circlip. Put them safely to one side where you're not going to drop them or lose them. Second circlip. And then third and final circlip. Now, all we do now is basically just grab hold of the cogs, slide them off. As you see, the top one comes off quite easily. Now the bottom one here on the right hand side was a little bit sticky to get off, but if you give it a little bit of a shake and a tug, it does come off. Cool. Now this is the new gearbox. Put it the right way round. There we go. Now if you look on the new gearbox, you'll see there's a couple of, on the old gearbox where we're taking the Allen key off now, you'll see there's a hole on the new gearbox. So there's 4 screws that take off the old gearbox, and there's 2 screws that are actually on the gearbox to hold the gearbox together. You don't really want to touch them, just the 4 that hold it in. So check the holes on the new gearbox against the holes on the old one, and you'll see which screws to take out. That, by the way, is a spacer. Take that off, you get a new one in the pack, or the gearbox pack, at least I did anyway. Put that to one side and don't forget to put it back on later. Using the Allen key to take these off. And there's 4 screws, 2 in the top and 2 in the bottom. Or I should say 1 in the top, one to the right hand side, and 2 in the bottom. Here I'm just checking for myself to make sure I'm taking the right ones out. And once you've got the last screw out, the gearbox just pulls off ever so easily, or it did in my case. Now when you get the new gearbox, it is pre-packed with grease, so there's no need to add grease to the new gearbox. Place it into position. I actually put 2 of the bolts, 2 of the Allen key bolts in the bottom to help position it up, and I tightened them 2 up first. It does actually slip into place quite easy, the gearbox, no problems. Speed it up so we get all the screws in quickly. Okay, now don't forget to put the spacer back on. Now on this part here, I actually tried to put the top one and one of the bottom ones on first, which was wrong, so worked it out. Now you put the bottom two on first, and then we put the top one on. But put it on the bottom cog first, because that one can turn, so you can line it up with the cotter pin or whatever you call it on the top. And once you line it up, it does go in quite easily. Okay, now that the cogs are all back in place, it's time to put the circlips back on. Don't forget you have 3 of them, one on the top and one on each bottom one. All I'm doing there is I'm basically, once I put the pin on, I'm basically just checking that it is actually in the groove, because the circlip actually sits in a little groove on the pin or on the crank. Again, just checking it's in the groove. Same with the top one. Okay guys, I'm just gonna plug in the machine and make sure everything's working. Check the cogs are turning, and I'm also going to check quickly underneath to make sure the rollers, the feed rollers are turning. It's the moment of truth. Yep, everything appears to be good. Feed rollers are turning, cogs are turning. Now there's a little black tray that goes underneath the cogs. You have to put the back piece behind the cogs first and then push it up into the 2 little grooves that are either side. Once you get it into them grooves, it'll just slide backwards, as you can see. Right, time to start putting it back together. But one thing I did forget is to put a bit of grease on the chains. I'll take it apart later and do that myself. Goes back together quite easy. Just as when you're taking it apart, comes apart quite easy. If you just watch how I put it back together, guys, I'm quite sure you'll be able to figure out how to take it apart. This part's just a little bit fiddly. You can see the cut out there for where the scale slider goes. There's no need to take the plastic knob off. You can just slot it in behind it. Yeah, it's not a problem. Okay, you can see me putting the dust extraction system back on here. I didn't really need to take this off, but obviously because I've never done this before, I was kind of feeling my way around when I was taking it apart. So if you're doing this and just putting the gearbox in, you don't need to take dust extraction off. Okay guys, just putting the lid back on here, but what I'm pointing to there is where the height adjustment handle goes. If you're looking down from the top, there's like four legs that the height adjustment screws up and down on. One of them has a screw hole in for the height adjustment knob, so that's where the hole goes. I should have really put the camera a little bit higher so you can see what's going on. In fact, yeah, I think I'll do that later. There we go. You have to bear with me guys, this is the first time I've ever made a video for YouTube. I hope it's instructional for you. I'm sorry about some of the bad editing and maybe the voice. But, you know, first time. Bound to be a few mistakes. Time to try it all out and make sure everything is working properly. By the way guys, the only reason the gearbox broke in the first time is because I tried to take too much off one of the pieces of wood I was putting through, and because it was so thick and I was trying to take so much off it, it actually got stuck and ended up chewing up the gearbox. So don't make that mistake. Well, it's all good, everything's back working properly. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I say, it is the first time I've ever done this, so please forgive any mistakes. You guys have a nice time. Bye bye.